is another place where tribalism is not helpful to us.
Right.
And so if we can work together, Algorand just mentioned that they're going to work on this, we're going to work on this,
and we're going to make sure we start to talk about whether we can collaborate as well, so it's good.
Oh wow,
yeah,
fantastic.
Possibly.
That's
and we're going to talk about how we can collaborate with the things you were talking about for scam identification and dealing with it. I think that we can work together in a lot of ways as an industry.
Hey everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan, and that's Max Walker-Williams moderating a panel with Brad Garlinghouse and Dr. Lemon Bard, co-founder of Hbar. And he had the chance to interview the inventor of Hashgraph. He made this very funny video carrying the digital file home of that interview back to the UK, writing on his post that he was under a lot of pressure. I had that same similar experience coming home from my face-to-face interview with David Schwartz with 2 video clips on my phone, knowing that anything could happen until I moved those files. So yeah, this kind of brought those memories back. And moving right along, there is a lot of XRP business coming from the Gemini exchange, notably known to be, well, very dismissive of XRP and the efforts that took place to fight the SEC coming from Ripple. 3 posts in 7 hours. What is this? Don't forget XRP. Excited about XRP and X-riving shortly. I'm going to take a stab at it. This is what I think. Now, I have 2 reasons that leads me to believe this. I think it's possible there is a spot XRP ETF in the works. So first, Gemini and VanEck, they love ETFs. Gemini is the custodian for the spot Bitcoin ETF for VanEck, which is a fund manager with over 76 billion in US dollars under management. Now, Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss of Gemini submitted the first ever spot Bitcoin ETF back in 2013, so they like being first. And they also stated in their announcement that they are working together to expand Bitcoin and crypto. The second reason is Gemini received their digital asset service provider license in France just 5 days ago. This allows them to custody in the EU. Now, VanEck is based in New York, but it was just November they announced their wide moat ETF strategy. This is a term that was coined by Warren Buffett, which refers to the ability for a firm to maintain significant market share and protect long-term profits. So we'll see how close I get to my guess. Today, the last place you want to be looking at is the price action in the market. It's just horrendous. So let's not pay any attention to that. Let's move on to some interesting stories like, why in the world do people cast shadow on Tether and try to pop up Circle? And I will explain why I say that. Also, I've got some really good interviews coming this week. I'm going to highlight 2 of those so you know what's coming. And then we'll let Max take you out where he talks about his experience in Davos. Before we jump in there, I want to tell you that the Ever token, which is part of Evernote, is trading with sustained volume that looks pretty healthy. It's at 72 cents now, and I think these hosts that are well over 1,200 are participating in that heartbeat and receiving their rewards, and that is going to reduce, yes, over time, but those rewards are distributed, I think, for 118 years, somewhere in that neighborhood, as I had a conversation with some people in the space. So I don't know, those that did not participate because they thought that they were being asked their secret keys need to do more research. It was your public R address that you were registering, and the smart contract that is part of a hook that everybody poked to execute the tokens to transfer into their Zaman wallet. Those are rules that are set up by a smart contract. It doesn't decide that it's going to do a distribution sometimes and not other times. So if you didn't receive it and you thought you were, because you did register your R address, the only thing I can think is maybe you forgot to do a trust line, or when you're on the Zaman app, you are not on the Zahao network, so you got to toggle up in that top right on the Zaman app to make sure that you're on the right network. Those are just some ideas to help troubleshoot, but this is not a scam. Evernode is a recipient of the University Hbar grants that are given by Ripple, and it's just really nice to see the birth of a new network and a new technology. I'm talking about Zahao and the Evernode seriously smart contracts. This is going to have a codeathon at the XRP event in Australia, and Evernode works on other networks as well. So you might find Evernode works if you are wanting to build on Bitcoin, for example, or maybe Ethereum. So the codeathon is going to be very fun to see how people utilize this technology, and I'm very excited for the builders in the space to have this available. Circle announced a confidential submission of a draft registration statement for the proposed IPO. This is the company that's behind the USDC stablecoin, and it just drives me crazy that people will cast shadow on Tether when USDC backs its USDC coin the exact same way Tether does. If you're under the impression that USDC is backed by a dollar one for one, that is not the case. In June, Circle added $2.2 billion of T-bills to the fund, while repos constituted some 90% of the fund's $24 billion in assets. Tether, despite what you hear from some people, is audited by a third party, and this is BDO, huge firm. Their cash and cash equivalents also are short-term deposits, 76% in U.S. Treasury bills, 11% in the repos, 11% in the money market funds, and then some very small percentages in non-U.S. Treasury bills and cash and bank deposits. So you just might say to yourself, well, why would anyone be with Tether? Well, why would anybody be with USDC? Especially with the regulatory strong arm that the US has, I can see a lot of reasons why people prefer Tether. Tonight, about 11 p.m. my time here in Tokyo, I'm going to have a long overdue AMA with Enosis. This is the Flare project that has branched out into multi-chains now. They are really doing some wonderful partnerships and integrations with XDC, with Ethereum, the XRP Ledger, Kava, and Songbird. I really think this project is interesting, and they're starting to lead in the world of DeFi. And then later this week on Wednesday, I'm going to have Andos, which is the project that Panos is behind. This is going to be a project that is featured in the Builders series that will take place in the Australian event on the Gold Coast in March. If you missed yesterday's video, you want to know that in addition to Futureverse, who is going to have a huge presence there, there are 4 Ripple employees that will be speaking. So this is going to be a really great event. And if you can't come in person, the virtual ticket is available for under $200. It's a huge value with 2 days of panels, presentations, and keynotes. I hope to see you there. Before we let Max take you out on a summary of Davos, I want to share with you a channel that was shared with me that is just really fantastic. It's XRP Podcast. I love this selection of content, and they do have a fantastic Evernote tutorial, so if you're interested in setting up a host. All right, everybody, do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.
The interview with Brad Garlinghouse and Lehman, that was absolutely amazing. I am so fortunate to have been able to facilitate that meeting and what that's going to lead to. And there's been a few comments I've seen about people saying, you know, does Hedera really need Ripple? Does Ripple really need Hedera? It's not about that. And I, being honest with you as always, I as a Web2 business owner have always seen most industries as a zero-sum game. If Ripple have a banking customer, then there's not a great chance that bank is also going to want to use Hedera. So it's a zero-sum game. And I mentioned this to Lehman before Brad came over. And Lehman said, Max, you don't understand. At the moment, we're competing, arguing, haggling, and all this tribalism over a tiny, tiny fraction of what could be the customer base. We don't have some of the products that and services and software that we all need in order to compete properly and onboard the entire planet. And I really thought about that. I thought, yeah, you're absolutely right. And he said a time might come where we will be competing for the same customers. But why are we trying to do that now when no one has any real customers? And so I absolutely agree with that principle that we all, as crypto projects, have to work together in order to build the stadium so that later we can have the game. We can have the competitive match. But at the moment, we're all stood in a dirty field, a dust bowl, when we should be all helping build the stadium, and then the games can start. And I think that's a really good analogy, even though I do so myself, because that's where we are. We need decentralized recovery. That is an industry standard. So it doesn't matter which cryptos you have on your wallet, the decentralized recovery key system works no matter which crypto it is. And we need everything to be accessible and easy to use so that the 99.9999% of the world can join us in this industry. We're so early, and Lehman is absolutely right. We do need to come together. We need to collaborate in order to get the whole industry to a place where we can all then compete for customers. And that pie would be so much bigger if and it'll happen quicker if we can do that. And that was really important. I had an interview with Lehman. I had 2 interviews with Lehman, and the second one really interested me personally because we covered AI and robotics, and I can't wait for you guys to see that. I hope that Algorand, Ripple, and many others will join Hedera in creating an industry standard for decentralized recovery of keys and other softwares that will make crypto accessible for everybody. And then we can go on to have the competition. The bad. Unfortunately, one of the main reasons I came to Davos, not the only, but one of the main, was to interview Charles, the new president of Hedera, and unfortunately, that didn't happen. And I'm genuinely gutted about that. I'm gutted for you guys, I'm gutted for me. I had some really interesting questions set up, lined up ready, that I think Charles would have been game to answer, that would have meant the world to us, to you and I. And it would have been nice to introduce Charles to the community in my own small way. Another bad, the price of Hbar. The entire crypto industry, the entire crypto token prices were down most of the week. And I cannot fathom why value and price currently don't reflect each other. We've seen a small spike this morning, but I run that competition, and we're gonna find out who the winner is shortly. And people guessing the price of Hbar at 12 o'clock on Friday, Davos time. And I never, ever, ever would have guessed that Hbar would be lower on the Friday than it was on the Monday, especially after what I witnessed. But I genuinely believe that as the industry matures, price will reflect value, and that is when Hedera will fly. I can't say when it's going to happen, and I can't even say what the trigger's going to be. But I am absolutely confident that the time will come when Hedera's price, Hbar's price, reflects Hedera's value. Maybes. Okay, the maybes. So maybe Hbar's price will reflect its value in the future. I certainly think so. And maybe Charles was too busy doing amazing work and securing all sorts of fantastic companies and use cases and that sort of thing to have the interview. So that's another maybe. And maybe next year, Hbar is going to be even bigger and we're in a much better place with Hbar's price and a much better place with governing council member announcements. And maybe we finally filled that gap between where we are at the moment in terms of user interfaces, operability, ease of access for the whole world to join the crypto community. So those are the goods, the bads, and the maybes. Thank you so much for coming on this journey with me. I hope you enjoyed the access and the videos that I made. I'm not a professional. I do this as a hobby. And so I understand that there are probably people out there that could do what I do much, much better than I do. But I can only try my best and continually improve. And thank you so much again for your patience and support. I'll see you soon.